Hello, this is Ryan DePoppy with the LUMINATE Real Estate Team in Carolina 1. I'm going to be bringing you the real estate market update for Charleston, South Carolina. The purpose of this update is to give you the predictions or kind of how we see things happening in 2016, just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect. We're going to talk about 2015 and just kind of summarize the very strong 2015 market we had here in Charleston. I'm not going to dive into the December 2015 numbers specifically. If you're very interested in that, I'm happy to send that stuff to you. Just ask for it. But really, I'm just going to do an overview of 2015. We had a really good year in Charleston. We expect another good year here in 2016. So let's dive in. So in the year 2015, we had over 16,000 homes sold in the Charleston area. That's an increase of almost 14% from 2014, and will go down as our third busiest year on record. The median sales price across the Charleston area increased by 6.5% to $229,000. But the crazy thing is, some areas of Charleston saw an increase of over 10% from 2014. Now, by the end of 2015, there was just under 5,000 homes still listed in the MLS, which was a decrease of about 18.5% from last year. But new listings increased by 8.7% from 2014. So at the end of 2015, we had less homes on the market than we did in 2014, even though we had almost 9% more houses listed overall for the same time period. So one sign of a healthy economy and housing market is going to be the distressed property indicator. We had a decrease of 40% from 2014 of distressed properties. Distressed properties are going to be those short sales and foreclosures. That means only about 7.5% of our closed transactions in 2015 were of those distressed properties. So again, good sign of a healthy economy. So that wraps up our kind of brief overview of what happened in 2015. We had a really good year. If you're interested in knowing specifically what happened in your neighborhood, maybe even with your house, let us know. We're more than happy to break those down for you and provide you with that information. So let's jump into our market predictions for 2016. Quick disclaimer, there's nothing guaranteed in real estate. We cannot possibly predict exactly how 2016 will play out in the real estate market. We've done everything we can to provide accurate information here based on what our impressions of the market are, in addition to some very smart individuals who pay attention to the local economic scene in Charleston as well as South Carolina as a whole. But again, nothing is ever guaranteed in real estate. It's about keeping your fingers on the pulse of what's going on around you, keeping up with trends, and watching the market very closely as you go so that you can make an informed decision at the moment that you need to make that decision. Overall, the economic outlook in Charleston and South Carolina for 2016 is very good. Now, we had a record-breaking year in 2015 when it came to real estate. We expect that trend to continue into 2016 and challenge those boundaries that we had in 2015. So let's talk about Charleston specifically for a minute. Charleston has a unique mixture of landscape, culture, and opportunity, and it's this mixture that explains the boom to our economy and housing market. For young people, Charleston has become a hip place to be with job opportunities in the startup and tech industries. For those more in the middle of our lives, Charleston has become an ideal place to raise a family with good-paying jobs in many high-skill industries. And for the later-in-life folks, Charleston has become an ever-growing retirement destination with lots of sun and lots to do. So it makes sense when Trulia's chief economic advisor ranks Charleston as the second hottest real estate market in the U.S. right now. Nationally, the economic outlook seems to be improving depending on who you're talking to, but we're going to focus more specifically on South Carolina and Charleston in this case. South Carolina is in its sixth straight year of economic expansion. Our unemployment is lower than the national average. Our job growth is at the highest level it's been in the last decade. Where is the greatest job growth in the Charleston area? Well, it's going to be in high-skill manufacturing. These are manufacturing jobs that Boeing and Volvo both covet. These are good-paying jobs, have good benefits, but they require a higher level of skill. So another area of job growth is in the tech sector. Got a lot of young entrepreneurs coming here, starting technology companies. There's a kind of an infrastructure support group that has been set up in the Charleston area to help with this, and it's starting to bear fruit. Construction projects. Of course, whenever you have an economic boom, you're going to start seeing building everywhere, both in the residential real estate sector, commercial, and of course infrastructure projects to handle this new growth. Now, one area to note is the lack of skilled labor that's available in the greater Charleston area. This is causing a demand for these type of laborers. These manufacturing jobs are high skill, so it requires a certain level of knowledge and education. And because there's a lack of that in this Charleston area, it's causing a demand. Well, anytime something's in demand, prices rise. Well, in this case, companies are willing to pay more in wages and benefits to attract these qualified candidates. So as a whole, Charleston and South Carolina outpaces the national average in almost every key area. So again, things are going very well here in South Carolina and Charleston. So why is there such a strong housing demand in the Charleston area? Well, it's simple economics, but let's walk through it real quick. So we have a lot of employment opportunities due to the economic outlook for Charleston, plus we have Charleston. So you've got people moving here because there are jobs here, or they've taken jobs here, and again, going back to that skilled labor side of things, you get these people moving here to take these jobs that are available, good paying jobs. But then you also have the factor of being in Charleston. So you have retirees and people that are coming to Charleston that maybe aren't necessarily coming for the economic reasons. They just like being in Charleston, or they're wanting to move here first and then find a job once they get here. But all this equates to housing demand. We've got more people around than we've got housing available. Then you got higher wages. Again, when you have a good economy in an area and there's a demand for certain types of labor, you're going to get better wages out of that and benefits. Of course, when people earn more, they spend more as a general rule. And of course, that means there's also a housing price increase because people are willing to spend more, in addition to the fact that there's a shortage of housing. So there's kind of a multifaceted reason for these things. But ultimately, there's a lack of inventory, and that's going to mean higher prices. So a frequent question that we get, and rightly so, what's the difference between the housing market now and the housing bubble that we had about the middle of last decade? Well, there's a couple of differences. So the housing bubble that we had about 10 years ago was largely fueled by easy money. Government had been encouraging lenders for years to make more loans, give people more opportunity for home ownership, and in turn, a lot of these loans that were given out were given to people that shouldn't have gotten them. Then coupled with some greed from Wall Street and these banks, they started packaging these things up. They started getting creative, I say creative loosely, with these mortgage options to get more and more people into these homes, and you had a whole bunch of bad mortgages being made to people that should never have gotten the money in the first place. And one of the big problems was they were giving this money out, but people's income and job growth and opportunities weren't keeping on track with that. So they were taking on more debt, but they didn't have more money in order to make to make their payments back. So when it all came crashing down, of course, a lot of people got stuck, so on and so forth. So let's contrast that with what's going on right now in the Charleston housing market, the boom that we have right now. Well, it's largely being fueled by the growth that we have, all the economic opportunities coming to South Carolina, and it's keeping on pace with the wage and job growth. So the rise in real estate is keeping at a steady pace with the growth that we're seeing. And of course, again, as demand increases and supply decreases, prices rise as well. So nationally, what are some possible threats that might put our economy back in a tailspin and affect housing prices? Well, the gas. If there's an unexpected dramatic rise in the price of oil for whatever reason, that could do it. Also, we make a lot of money, or a lot of our economy is made on export activity, and if for some reason something threatened that or it dropped off, that could also do it. But let's get a little more local than that. In South Carolina, one of the hiccups that we had last year that affected a lot of the state is going to be the flood that we had in October. That caused a lot of infrastructure issues. It also caused the state and local governments to have to spend a lot of money they weren't anticipating. So that's going to put some shortfalls in the budget, and that might slow some growth in areas as well. Now, there might be some stimulus that comes in to help counter that with money coming in from the federal government and the state to try to stave that off. But there's a possibility that there could be some slowdown in parts of the state due to this flooding. And then more on a hyper-local level, possible threats for Charleston could be, really I think is the growing too quickly concern that a lot of people have. Are we able to handle it? And one of the big problems is the infrastructure. Can our roadways and systems handle the amount of people that are moving here? Again, the last number that I heard coming out of 2014 was 43 people a day. I'm sure that number hasn't dropped off any. So we got 43 people a day, coming to this area, being dumped on the roadways, and we're having some hiccups with that, or some growing pains trying to deal with that everywhere in Charleston. And then, of course, affordable housing. Right now, one of the most attractive things about Charleston has to do with our cost of living. We relatively have a low cost of living compared to a lot of very popular areas in the country. But affordable housing is a concern. It's one that we hear frequently, and it's one thing we will definitely be addressing in the 2016 real estate market here in Charleston. As always, and something you'll always hear John and I talk about, is knowing your market. There are some pockets in the Charleston area that are doing better than the market average, and then there's some areas that aren't doing quite as well. So again, it's important to know your market. We can even help you track your neighborhood and your market's value, as well as calculate or ascertain your home's value. That way you can make an informed decision when you're ready to buy or sell real estate. As always, it's important to know who to call. If you're looking to sell this year and capitalize on this rise in the market, by all means, we can help you do that. because we never know what the future is going to hold and how long these prices will continue to rise before they level off or even decrease. If you're looking to buy but you're concerned about affordability, we can also help you with that. We follow the market closely and we know where to get the best bang for your buck. And don't be shy. If you're looking to buy or sell, whether it's this year, next year, or 5 years from now, get us involved. We can help. There's never any obligation, and you know who to contact. Feel free to reach out to John Franco or myself at any time. By all means, give us a call, send us a text, or if you'd prefer, connect with us on social media. We love to interact that way, and we're happy to help you in any way that we can. Want more? Because we have a lot to offer. Simply reach out to us and tell us, put me on the list, and we will send everything straight to your email inbox. Our updates, our information, the stuff that we give to our clients, our newsletters, those will go straight to your email. All you got to do is go to illuminaterealestate@gmail.com and tell us, put me on the list, and we'll be happy to do so.